to grace the stage of Fontaine. The trial of the Hydro Archon, Focalor, will now begin.
Oh, okay.
Oh, now we're making
Like, this was literally the trap. This was literally
Why does it feel like Furina
the hunter
just
trap.
took over the whole thing? Like, come on.
We were the cheese.
Did she just get,
So Furina was the cheese, sitting there eating the cheese.
did she just get forced to stand trial for her crimes? Also, even
We were
though
the
she's
cheese the whole time.
Super dramatic. She is taking this seriously this time, right?
She is. I think she is.
Then, who will be
She's just
my
being
opponent
Focalors
in
at the same
this
time.
trial?
The court asks the prosecutor to please take the stand.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Is that so? Very well. Then please speak, witness of Tivat, my accuser and fated opponent.
We were so close to getting her to tell us the truth, and it still turned out like this in the end. She was right there. She was saying it. It's okay, though. As long as we can defeat Furina in court, we'll still have a chance to figure everything out. Okay, well, here we go. Ace Attorney has begun.
Also, please allow me to ask, as a final question before the trial begins. Just how much work did you do to force me onto this stage?
Well, we got a box, we got a stick, and we got some cheese.
After the meeting that day.
I can go over the tasks assigned to the Spina di Rosula, since they were rather straightforward and easy.
Navia,
Hello,
the
Navia.
president of the Spina di Rosula.
Most of the people who participated in the disturbance this morning were my subordinates. They
I
changed
realized
into
that
plain
later.
clothes and
Or
came
like-
to the opera house as regular audience members, waiting
Eventually.
for the perfect opportunity to incite insurrection against you. The
How did
people's
it all
resentment against their Archon
work
has
so
been
well?
building as more and more of the prophecy is fulfilled. A spark was all we needed to turn smoldering anger into a flame. Moreover, according to our understanding and analysis of you, when something like that occurred, you would likely flee the scene and head to Poisson by yourself. So, we arranged for a second group to lie in wait there.
So, you mean, the ones who scoured the settlement for me were also from the Spina?
And their goal was to force you to step into the giant magic box so you may personally participate in the greatest magic performance in all of Fontainian history.
How did they bring it all
That's
the way
right.
over there, though?
That house was a magic box, rather than someone's residence.
As the super ultimate version of the setup that I used when I first performed at the Opera Epiclese, the volume of the box was increased by a whole order of magnitude, and the distance it traversed was the entire gap between Poisson and Aranias.
That
Its
is
cargo, of
huge.
course,
How? Where
was
is the
an
tunnel?
Archon instead of a human. My thanks, Furina. Without your help, we could never have pulled off such an extraordinary performance.
At least no one died this time, right?
You're welcome?
Of course, this performance was only made possible with Father's support. The House of the Hearth spent a massive amount of labor in Mora to pull this off.
In
We had to
only,
select a
like, less than a
location,
week?
construct the giant magic
my
box, dig a tunnel, and open up a path through the water. It was a lot of work
That's
for
a lot
all
of fatui.
us.
So, in other words, the earthquake that we felt within the giant magic box was just a normal tremor from the transportation of the whole house?
That's right. It wasn't a sign of another disaster to come.
Sorry about that. We deceived you back there. And me, because I was sure. I was like, when is... I thought we were going to do this at the trial. I thought this was all happening at the trial. And then now that you're at Poisson, now you're at Poisson doing this, I was excited. I was like, she doesn't even have to stand trial. This is fine. Everything's going better than it could have. But no, here we are.
Then, I can guess Nervilette and Cloran's parts. You gathered a crowd, prepared a stage, and made sure that the champion duelist would be immediately ready for a fight.
My wife!
Also that as soon as I appeared on the stage, the trial may commence without a hitch. Am I right?
My wife!
Yes, that is correct.
Well, Florand, I must commend you for your courage. Only the most outstanding champion duelist in all of Fontaine would accept a duel with an Archon without flinching.
Thank you.
As for you, Traveler, I suppose your role was to keep me distracted with conversation once you found me in Poisson.
Kind of.
You'd make sure that I didn't notice anything amiss before revealing yourself as my prosecutor once we'd arrived onto the stage.
Nah. You guessed wrong.
Oh?
My mission was to give you one last chance. We hoped that you'd share your secret with us before the magic box arrived onto the stage. Took a little too long.
Is that so?
Took a little too long.
Then I suppose I must have missed my final chance.
By seconds. Literally seconds.
It's fine. It matters not. What's done is done. The stage is already set, so there's no reason to disappoint the audience. Let's see this trial through to the very end.
Yeah, the only thing we can do now is to judge the Hydro Archon. Still, I can't help but be a little bothered by that conversation earlier. What did Furina want to say to me right before we arrived on the stage?
Madam Prosecutor, please allow me to pass this along. This
Okay.
is a document that Miss Charlotte applied for and received permission to share with you during the trial. According to her, it should speed up the proceedings.
Oh?
Charlotte wanted to give us something? Oh, so she's here too! Hey, Charlotte!
I did see her earlier. Hello, Charlotte.
Let Paimon see. Isn't this the exclusive interview that she did with us before? So she's already finished it, huh? Wait, then that means this document is a perfect timeline of everything that's happened ever since we stepped foot in Fontaine!
Oh.
So in other words, we can refer to this anthology of evidence every time we want to use something from our journey as evidence for an argument!
It's a super practical gift. I never would have thought of using it this way.
Let's quickly confirm the information in it. Just think of it as a refresher, alright?
Alright. I got the thing.
The Hydro Archon in the very first duel you took part in at the Opera House.
Spawning the ruin over Poisson began to collapse and Navia fell into water containing primordial seawater, only the protection of the dead members. Alright, I've gone over all of it. From the Winnie all the way down to N. I think that's it. Yeah.
The prosecution and the defense are both in position. The trial shall now begin.
Here we go.
Oh, come on, Nervilette. There's no need to repeat all the unimportant legalese. Just fast forward to the part where the prosecution lays out my offenses. As the defendant and the lead actress of this performance, I still haven't even been informed of my supposed guilt in all of this. Of course, it is only natural for humans to struggle to understand the actions of a god. However, you will need more than that to convict me of a crime.
That's true, but my charge here is
She's talking.
unrelated to your conduct as an Archon. Instead, I would like to charge you as a fraud who's never been the Archon in the first place.
Oh.
What was that? Lady Furina's a fraud?
Hey, I came here thinking that we were going to try the Hydro Archon for forsaking our duty, but did I hear that right? She's not our Archon at all?
Charge accepted. Lady Furina, do you plead guilty to the charge?
My god.
Lady Furina,
I plead not guilty. How can I be guilty? There is no way that I, Focalor, otherwise known as Furina de Fontaine, a member of the Seven and the Regina of all waters, kindreds, peoples, and laws of Fontaine, could be anything other than your true Archon.
Now, hold on, wouldn't Nouvellette know about this? If she were a normal person, she could not have lasted any of this time with Nouvellette. Like, Nouvellette is super old, right? She looks young. Like, she'd be like 20-something. But she's like, she's been here for a while, right? So, like, what does that mean? What does that mean?
Yeah. Even though Lady Furina can be rather eccentric, isn't it going too far to doubt her very identity?
Yeah, I've never questioned her identity either. Sure, Lady Furina can be super irresponsible, but what grounds does that prosecutor have to make such a huge claim?
I have cause to believe that common sense will prevail in this case. Many of the members of the audience have known me as the Hydro Archon ever since they were born.
That's what I'm saying.
There would be no fooling their memory. See? Even the Oratrice has decided to show me its favor. Are you sure you want to commit to a charge that will never be upheld?
I think it's about her gnosis.
If you wish to drop the case,
It's the gnosis.
I promise you as the god of justice that you will not have to face trial for making a false accusation. We will treat everything that's happened as a dramatic spectacle and move on with our lives. What do you say to that?
An argument with near impossible odds, huh? We have to not only refute Furina's claims, but also overturn the long-held beliefs of the people.
People only see you as their Archon because that's their long-held belief.
Well,
Yeah, but she's always been here, though.
to surrender.
She's younger than a lot of these people physically. Like,
If you believe I'm not the
but she's always been here.
Archon, then what manner of being do you think I am? And if
Oh,
I
she
was
could be an
not
Oceanid.
the Archon, then how did I manage to live for over 500 years?
She could very well be an Oceanid now that I think about it. Gotta think carefully. What do we know to be special about Furina exactly? Okay, let's see. The meeting with the Knave. During the diplomatic meeting with the Knave, she revealed that she had already probed Furina on her own and believes it is possible that not only is Furina not really the Archon, but that she's actually affected with some sort of curse. This seems like the right answer, but it's not exactly on the nose. I don't feel like I'm gonna pick it anyway.
First of all, you may be a member of another long-lived race, which would allow you to naturally possess an extended lifespan.
That makes sense. An Oceanid.
Even if that wasn't the case, there could be other ways to extend your life.
Such as a curse.
Who gave you that idea? Was it the Knave? You'd sink so low as to use a Harbinger's words against me.
It doesn't matter who gave us the information. What matters is the veracity of the claim.
A curse? I once thought it possible that the aura of an Archon might naturally resemble a type of curse. But in light of this claim, perhaps what I sensed was not your divinity, but a curse after all.
You sensed it too, huh, Nervalet?
So, Furina, instead of an Archon, could you just be a cursed human?
Lady Furina is actually a human?
Well,
Oh my God.
it is true that it's extremely difficult to tell humans and gods apart. Just
This
by
is
looking
not.
at
This is
them.
not a thing.
It's
This is not a thing.
impossible.
I don't believe that. I don't believe this.
Well, don't start celebrating too early now. Even if I have been carrying a curse like you said, how does that prove that I am merely a human being? Besides, everyone knows that the main difference between a human and a god is the possession of authority. Gods can do what humans cannot. That's why they're worshipped as gods.
Well,
For
that's
centuries,
silly. That's silly.
Manifestations of my authority have served the nation of Fontaine. One need only to turn their eyes towards the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinal in this very opera house, or consider the endemnitium that is used in every aspect of life.
What would be really crazy is if we found out that the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinal is the actual Archon, and that's where the voice we heard, that Lenny heard, came from. That would be wild. Wait, that one trial proved the opposite. Furina actually has no control over the Oratrice at all. No control over the Oratrice. That was Child's conviction. Though Duvalet believed Child to be innocent, the Oratrice judged him as guilty in the end, and even Furina didn't know why.
So this is how justice is done in Fontaine. What a joke. You've got your rules. Well, I've got mine too!
He's activating his spell legacy!
He needs some milk!
I am sorry. If you have been wronged, we will find the truth. But the rules of the court must be upheld.
You tried to reference the Oratrice, but weren't you as confused as all the rest of us when the Oratrice declared Child to be guilty without any proof? Otherwise, you should have come up with a good explanation for that by now.
Didn't I make myself clear at the time? The decisions of the gods are naturally difficult for humans to comprehend. There is no need to provide an explanation.
The decisions of the gods.
I believe
But
a reminder of your current
that's not.
circumstances is in order.
Was the Oratrice though?
While the court is in session, the principles of justice and the law must come before all else. While you are an Archon, you are also first and foremost the defendant in this trial. You will prove yourself unable to defend against the prosecution's charges if you continue to withhold vital information against the rules of the court.
I never thought you'd use that kind of rhetoric against me.
That was no trick of rhetoric, Lady Furina. I've merely reiterated the rules of the court. Rules that all should respect and follow.
So, you neither knew why Child was declared guilty, nor did you understand the structure and operations of the Oratrice. Instead of having been created by you, the manifestations of authority you mentioned have been made by the real Hydro Archon, haven't they?
The real Hydro Archon? Well, now you're really losing me. It is true that I did not know why the Oratrice gave out a guilty verdict that day. But the Oratrice handed out that verdict unilaterally, and it has been operating independently ever since it was first created. You can't argue that just because a divine creation is flawed, that the god behind it must also be no god at all.
She's still throwing out all kinds of excuses. Seems like she's confident that we won't be able to produce proof that she has no power over the Oratrice.
Sure, we can put the Oratrice aside for now, but then, Miss Furina, could you give us a brief demonstration of your power as an Archon?
My power as an Archon? There are many ordinary citizens in the audience. How can I just carelessly demonstrate the formidable power of an Archon?
If that poses a concern, I'm prepared to extend my protection to the audience.
You don't need to go that far.
A brief demonstration of your power over Hydro should be quite harmless. Surely an Archon can at least match the capacities of a human with a vision.
Aren't you the Hydro Archon? Or is it that you can't even wield the power of Hydro, much less the authority of a god?
Oh my god.
Indemnitium! Yes! It's all because of Indemnitium! All Archons derive their power from the faith of the people, and I've converted the people's faith in justice into Indemnitium. Thus did I give up all of my divine power to provide everyone with energy for their daily lives. Have you ever seen a more magnanimous god?
Isn't that
a
huge stretch?
Yeah, no matter how generous an Archon can be, how could they give up all their power? Can a god with no power even still be called a god?
I'm very suspicious now.
Furina's excuse.
Hey, come now, everyone. Please don't stare at me as if I was a liar.
She's definitely not an Oceanid, then.
Furina you knew, right? The one that you loved. Shouldn't you want to believe in me? Please? You've got to believe me.
If what the prosecutor said is true, she really has committed a grave offense.
I actually feel bad for her right now. Like, I feel legitimately bad.
And all of our ancestors? Ever since they were born?
Enough! That's enough. Tell me then, if I'm not the real Hydro Archon, then who is?
Possibly no one.
You have no evidence
Or the
of
Orchard's
another
making Nick Denali's cut it
Hydro
now.
Archon's existence, nor can you find anyone who can back up their claim to be such. Then what grounds have you to say that I'm not actually the real deal?
Wow, she came up with yet another argument. How can we refute her now? Seems like she really doesn't want to give up.
We can't prove that she isn't the Archon. We can try to prove that she's just a human. And if she's only human... Let's see. So far, I have done 2 of these and none of these have been working.
That doesn't sound right.
It's so arbitrary. It's so arbitrary. Like, the truth behind the serial disappearances of young women case. It turns out that the Fontainians can be dissolved by water from the primordial sea. Over the years, Vacher kidnapped and dissolved many young girls for his experiments to try and find a way to bring back his wife who had been dissolved. It's gotta be this, right? Something about dissolving and being a human, but I don't know how this has to do with Furina specifically and whether she's human or not human. It doesn't, or being an Archon, whatever. That doesn't make sense. I don't understand, but possibly has something to do with her being human and being capable of being dissolved, I guess. So this one makes the only sense I can imagine.
It's been established
There we go.
that all Fontainians can dissolve in water from the primordial sea.
Yeah.
And that means...
Since you insist on claiming to be a god and not a human, then there's a method that you can use right
that
here
is
and
true.
now to eliminate all suspicions of you being the latter.
That is true.
Miss Navia, please apply to serve as a temporary attorney for the prosecution before addressing the court. Though you act in partnership with the prosecutor, you must still adhere to proper procedure.
Super sorry, Mr. Chief Justice. I swear
Super
this
sorry.
really will be the last time that I'll speak out of turn. Now, I've brought some seawater from Poisson. As everyone
God.
knows, a massive flood struck the area not long ago, taking many lives, including those of some of my closest friends. So, Miss Furina, would you dare to touch some of the seawater?
Please touch it.
To believe that you are
Please touch
indeed
it.
The real
Touch the
Hydro
water.
Archon, touching the seawater would have no effect on you. All it should do is strengthen your case. But if you don't dare to touch it, then we would have basically proved the reverse. Oh, and I must remind you that after the disaster at Poisson, nobody wants to see any more people dissolve. I do hope you'll act prudently and choose the simpler path of admitting guilt.
Navia from the Spina di Rasula. The Spina has governed Poisson for many years. I guess her suggestion is valid.
If Lady Furina is indeed just a human, she's probably Fontainian like all the rest of us. Would she really dare to try?
I honestly didn't think they would just bring literally primordial water into the courtroom. Like, that's like... Why is she nervous? Furina?
Lady Furina, this test has been
Are you
unilaterally
kidding me?
proposed by the prosecution. As it falls outside the realm
Are
of
you
standard
kidding
court
me?
proceedings, you possess the right to decline participation.
Well, of course he had to tell her that. But refusing to participate is
But what if
basically the same as a confession of guilt.
something else is... There's a different reason why she can't touch it.
Without saying a single word.
Even though she is an Archon.
It really does seem like she's quite terrified of it. That could only mean...
What if she can be dissolved even though she's the Archon?
Is she really planning to... that's not what we thought she would...
Due to the inherent risk of the test, Lady Furina, you may...
Hey!
She actually...
I'm fine! Look at me, everyone! My hand is still here! I haven't been dissolved! Will you believe me now? I really am your Archon! I'm nothing like a
That
normal
was like
human
pure
who would
primordial
fall
water.
apart as soon as they touch this water. Really? Was this not the most obvious thing in the world?
Miss Siegewing? If you are present, Miss Siegewing, please come forward and attend to the defendant.
She's here.
Siege Win?
Don't be nervous. It'll just take a few seconds. Let me see. That should be enough.
Please announce the results of your evaluation to the court, Miss Siegewing.
As everyone doubtlessly saw, Miss Furina was displaying symptoms of hyperventilation and flushed skin. These indicate that she was experiencing the adverse effects of exposure to primordial seawater. The extent to which she was affected is the same as other humans when exposed to primordial seawater of a similar concentration.
Oh
Thank
my
you, Miss
god.
Siegewing. Lady Furina, you may return to the defendant's stand.
Oh wait, what did she just say? I didn't get dissolved. Shouldn't that be enough to prove my innocence?
Well, considering your tendency to run from your problems, we did originally prepare a direct sample of the seawater around Poisson. However, after extensive discussion, we exchanged it for a sample that is not concentrated enough to dissolve an actual human.
So it wasn't pure
After all,
seawater.
On the off chance that something entirely unexpected might occur,
Such as this one.
we don't want anyone else to lose their life to the sea.
Yeah, so out of
Oh
regard
my
for Furina's
God.
life, you secured a low concentration sample and asked the head nurse to serve as an expert witness. It's a great thing that the direct sample wasn't actually used. Furina could have...
I can't believe you...
What's really going on here? Raina can't have not known the consequences of touching that water as a human. This is too unlike how she usually acts, unless it's actually more important for her to keep up her facade than to save her own life? But hadn't she given up on everything a long time ago?
Listen to me! Listen to me, everyone! Please don't give me such cold and disdainful looks! What happened just
Maybe
now
it's something with the Oratrice.
thing? Think about it! How can you
The Oratrice functions.
an Archon can't also be affected by
Maybe there's something going on with the Oratrice. It's the Oratrice. It all comes from the Oratrice.
really just a human? Why would I dare to just put my hand in that kind of water? Please, everyone, anyone, just listen to me. I swear, I really am your Archon.
Oh, I feel bad. I feel bad. I feel so bad for her. No, Furina.
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway anyone. The odds are just too stacked against her now.
With all the things that have been said, Paimon doesn't think there's any way left for Furina to win.
I believe the time for arguments and presentation of evidence has come to an end. If there are no objections, we will move on to the final judgment.
Oh no. Look, I saw the special program, and they said a thing,
I don't think anything she says
and
will sway her. She's too stacked against her now.
it was not good. Are we... Hello?
In my capacity as Chief Justice, I shall now render judgment on Furina's misrepresentation of herself as the Archon of Fontaine. As a human who knowingly deceived her fellow citizens, Furina is... guilty.
Is this real? Oh my god, it's real. Holy sh... No. She's in the chair alone.
We shall now
The prophecy.
turn to the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinale to render the final verdict on the charges.
He said it. He said the thing. Oh my god.
According to the judgment of the
Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinale.
Furina is...
Well, what's wrong? What's the Oratrice's verdict?
It can't be. Did the Oratrice just declare Furina to be innocent?
No. The Oratrice also displays a guilty verdict.
Oh my.
Isn't that correct then?
However, the exact wording of the verdict is thus. The Hydro Archon, guilty, to be punished via the death sentence.
The death sentence?
That's actually one of the available sentences? I've always thought that it was just a myth.
The one and only time the death sentence has been handed out at the court, and it's been given to the very person we've worshipped as the god of justice? What an unexpected twist.
Furina's been sentenced to death by the Oratrice?
No way.
The trial to show her the seriousness of things so she'd tell us the truth. How did things escalate
No
this quickly?
way.
This outcome is indeed quite strange. According to Fontaine's current definitions of justice, as well as its recommendations for criminal sentences, is this sentence really appropriate for the crimes that have been committed?
Yeah, even Fauché wasn't sentenced to death by the Oratrice.
He literally murdered hundreds of people. Hundreds. What's more strange is, instead of Furina, the Oratrice rendered judgment on the Hydro Archon. So who is the Hydro Archon? The Oratrice? It could only be the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinal, right? I don't know who else the Archon would be. Clearly Nouvelette's not the Archon. But those tablets that we saw, there was a giant group of people standing around an Archon, and I think that Archon was Furina, right? Are we at the ending of the tablet where she's alone? So what's after that? Anyway, but again, who's the Archon? I don't know.
Indeed. Not only is Furina's sentence overly excessive, the very point of our trial today was also to prove that Furina has never been the Hydro Archon in the first place. But now, the Oratrice seems to have deliberately invoked the title of the Hydro Archon. What does this mean?
So confused.
Excuse me if I
Fremine?
may interrupt.
Fremine? What?
Is the trial still going?
Yes.
Fremine.
Mostly, kind
You
of.
finally made it. I assume this means you've completed your mission?
What mission? Somebody always comes in at the end with new information.
Will always be top priority.
With some help from the Fatui, Fremine brings a stone. There it is. The first tablet. I was freaking waiting for this stupid thing. What is it? Let's see. There's a man on the bottom. It's surrounded by oceanids. And up top, there's a bunch of people with something above them. What is that? I don't know what that is.
So the Knave privately arranged for Fremine to try and find
This isn't the Hydro Archon, though. This is somebody else.
Everywhere, and finally found it at the bottom of the sea. It took me a long time to get around some dangerous stretches of water. But has the trial already concluded? Then doesn't that mean I've come too late? Oh no. Father will be disappointed in me.
Don't worry, the mystery hasn't been resolved yet. It's still not too late for you to shine, to be a
Thank you for your hard work,
a flashlight.
Mr. Fremine. Please allow me to review the record left on the slate.
What is this about? Who is that?
Traveler, I believe that you have already seen the other existing slates. Would
Yes.
like you to come here and confirm their contents.
I just don't know. Who's that person in the middle? That's not. That's neither Furina or the previous Archon. This looks like. Oh my god, is that? Oh, the previous Hydro Archon releasing her power, turning the oceanids into human beings. Oh. What? So that they're returning. So the person in the middle was a person, and the oceanids were humans. So does that mean every person here is a freaking oceanid? What does that even mean?
I believe I've now made sense of the Hydro Archon's crime. It has to do with Fontaine's lost history.
Huh? Isn't the Hydro Archon just guilty of deceiving her people? Oh, wait, no, that's Furina, and we've already proven that she's not the Hydro Archon.
Hydro Archon is guilty.
So when you say Hydro Archon,
She's dead already,
do you
though.
mean the real Hydro Archon we've been kind of talking about?
Unless she's the
Everything that
Oratrice.
you've encountered in Fontaine up until this point can be traced back to the contents of these stone slates. However, I'm uncertain as to how much sense they currently make to you.
An association between the contents of the slates and the events in real life.
Okay, let's try to recall the contents of the other 3 stone slates. Paimon will do her best to help you remember.
Okay. Select to check the descriptions on the stone slates to extract key information from them. You can find scenarios related to the stone slate's contents and the incidents recorded in the interview notebook. There you can verify said content. As the verification process continues, the fountain water level in the menu interface will rise. When you have finished verifying all the stone slates, the truth behind the prophecy shall be revealed. The real events related to the prophecies on the prophecy slates.
It seems to show the previous Hydro Archon using her divine power, and then the Oceanids turn into humans.
Into humans?
Does that mean that Fontainians are transformed Oceanids? Oh, Paimon wasn't expecting that. But if Oceanids can turn into humans, then perhaps this process can be reversed as well.
And that's the dissolving.
The second stone slate shows Celestia floating in the sky, and the Hydro Archon and her people worshipping it together. But the heavens still brought judgment down upon them. This must be the point when the Hydro Archon and the Fontainians were branded with their original sin. Does this mean that the original sin and the Hydro Archon sin are the same thing? The third slate shows the Hydro Archon sinking into the sea surrounded by many people. That reminds Paimon, didn't we also watch that happen to someone else? Well, the fourth slate is the prophecy the Fontainians have been talking about. People dissolving into the sea, the Hydro Archon crying on her throne, and so on. We didn't believe that such a crazy disaster could happen at first, did we? But after that incident, it was just a question of when and not if.
The stone slates in the ruin showing the prophecy describe a history of the future. It seems to show the former Hydro Archon using the divine power to turn Oceanids into people. You know, it'd be wild if we found out that Child is the actual Hydro Archon. That would be wild. I'm reading this. He was found guilty. He was judged guilty. What if he's the friggin' Hydro Archon? Wouldn't it be crazy? He's not though. He's not though. But it would still be. It would be pretty crazy anyway. The truth behind the serial disappearances of young woman case. Turns out that Fontainians can be dissolved by water from the primordial sea. So, because they're Oceanids, they can be dissolved, right? So they came from Oceanids, so they can be dissolved back into Oceanids. That's I'm gonna choose that for this one.
We know from the case of the serial disappearances of young women that Fontainians can be dissolved in primordial seawater. And
yes,
the
they
first
can.
stone slate tells us that long ago, the Hydro Archon used her power to turn Oceanids into humans. This might be the reason that Fontainians can dissolve.
Yep. So they're not dying, they're just being transformed? But where are they, though? I don't know. Oh, this scene right here was wild. This is when they all came together to dissolve Vache. That was such a wild scene. There's anger, pure anger, rage. This is the second slate. It shows Celestia floating in the sky and the Hydro Archon and her people worshipping it together. But the heavens still brought judgment down upon them. My issue with the way that this game is that you could connect so many of these together for different reasons, and it could work. But they have one thing they want you to use, and you have to just figure out exactly what you think they're trying to get at. Even though one could also work, for the same, something else could actually work as well. So I don't know. You're telling me that this is it? This one? This is clearly for, like, the last one, or the next one at least. The announcement of the Hydro Archon's death sentence. After the court proved that Furina was not the Hydro Archon, the verdict displayed by the Oratrice was actually the Hydro Archon guilty to be punished via the death sentence. Like, it fits, but it's not the right order. I thought we were doing this in the right order. This seems like it should be the one after this, where she's being surrounded by people, right? But here we are.
Perhaps
That doesn't make.
what is
I
about to take
don't know
place
what
has
they're
all
freaking doing.
happened before. The true sin of the Hydro Archon that Nervilette mentioned, and the original sin cast down on the people of Fontaine by Celestia, as recorded on the stone slates.
I thought it was like from the beginning until now. I thought this was now. Like, this is originally before, and this is the now. So I thought this was, I don't know. This is the third slate. It shows the Hydro Archon sinking into the sea surrounded by many people. Navia falling into the seawater. While exploring the ruin near Poisson, it began to collapse and Navia fell into the water containing primordial seawater. She was helped by her friends.
It's not as simple as falling into the sea. When Navia fell into the sea, her consciousness was subjected to judgment. The stone slates show the people gathered around the Hydro Archon in the sea. Could that be alluding to the same thing?
Yeah. Thank God she's alive. This is the fourth and final slate. Fontainians will eventually be dissolved into the sea, and the Hydro Archon will sit alone on her throne and weep. The intrusion of the Primordial Sea into the fortress of Meripede. The entrance to the Primordial Sea is sealed beneath the Forbidden Zone in the fortress of Meripede, and recently the Primordial Sea has nearly broken out. It was only temporarily pushed back by Nouvelette's power.
The prophecy from the stone slates found its
got
way
it
into
right.
society, but not many people believed it at first. The fortress of Meripede was nearly flooded with primordial seawater, which we know can cause Fontainians to dissolve. It seems increasingly likely that the prophecy may come true. If we hadn't dealt with it in time, things could have gone very badly.
Very, very badly.
They'll dissolve into the primordial sea but won't cease to exist. Their essence will flow in the seawater, converge, and take the form of an oceanid. The Hydro Archon was sentenced to death in court, shocking everyone present. Perhaps this means that her sin was actually Fontaine's original sin. Navia fell into the water inside those ruins, and she nearly dissolved. She was surrounded by the people of Poisson in a court within her consciousness, and was forced to take part in a trial meant to make her stay. The eruption of the primordial sea at the fortress of Meripede was the surest sign that the prophecy was about to come to pass no matter what. The prophecy's contents can all be verified by recent events. If we combine what we know together, loads of truths should come to light.
Verification complete. And there we have it.
Huh? Oh, Paimon gets it now. So that's how you can make sense of it. But then it feels like we're going to have to share some truly shocking revelations.
Let's hear them. No. The first slate reveals that Fontainians are not real humans.
Incredible. Linny, did you hear that?
You're not human.
We're not real humans.
You're not real humans.
All Fontainians were originally created by the late previous Hydro Archon, with oceanids as their basis. The evidence for that can be found in how only Fontainians could dissolve in primordial seawater, and how all the girls Vacher dissolved were also turned into oceanids.
Oh my god, it's like that one event, that one Sumeru event.
She was about to get dissolved. She also saw everyone gathered around for a trial, all of them in the shape of oceanids.
Oceanids.
Indeed.
The second slate reveals that the crime of the Hydro Archon was her creation of Fontainians from Oceanids.
Yeah, and it follows from the content of the first slate that she probably angered Celestia by creating humans without prior permission. That could also explain why the Oratrice judged the Hydro Archon to be guilty. It's to account for that ancient sin.
The Hydro Archon's true sin was creating us?
So that's not what they're supposed to do.
After many hundreds of years,
Archons don't make
Archon's
people.
Creations have turned around to try to judge the Archon within the Opera Epiclese. The twists of history are often the most unexpected of all.
As for this third slate, I'm still convinced that it should come after the fourth slate. Yeah. I think that now.
Just like when Navia fell into the sea? So wouldn't it be trying to show the image of the Hydro Archon also falling into the sea once the prophecy has been fulfilled in the fourth slate?
The fourth slate depicts the fulfillment of the prophecy as it's already widely known.
In the end, the people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only the Hydro Archon will remain weeping on her throne. Only then will the sins of the people of Fontaine be washed away. Did Paimon get all that right?
You've made some keen deductions. I must say, given how much you still don't know, it is impressive that you've already managed to connect so many pieces of the truth. However, while you were able to decode all the information on the slates, they've also been etched with an additional layer of hidden information using a different power source. When we were at the ruins, I tried to decipher the hidden information recorded in the slates. But since we only had 3 slates at the time, I was unable to come to a full conclusion. Now that the slate collection is complete, I shall make another attempt to decipher the narrative recorded within. If everything goes well, we should finally be informed of the unadulterated truth.
Where's Furina right now?
Well? Did you get it?
I believe I should share this truth not only with you, but with all the people of Fontaine as well. I will try to briefly summarize it for you.
Oh, here we go.
Your hypotheses regarding the origin of Fontainians and the sin of the Hydro Archon were both correct. In the Fontaine of old, the previous Hydro Archon sensed the yearning of her Oceanid familiars for life on land. The Oceanids were enamored with the beauty and romanticism of human beings, and wishing to have those experiences for themselves, expressed to the Hydro Archon their desire to become of a similar kind. However, even though water as an element is intricately linked with the power of life, the Hydro Archon, as one of the 7, did not possess the authority to create a new form of human life. Not one to give in, she eventually found a way to create permanent humanoid bodies for her familiars by appropriating the power of this planet's primordial sea.
Typically they have blue hair and blue eyes though.
Seawater into the Oceanid's blood vessels, creating humanoid mimics in the process. But if Fontainians were to ever come into direct contact with water from the primordial sea, the power within their bodies would escape these artificial restraints and return to the sea. As a result, their forms would collapse, and they would be reverted to their original forms as Oceanids.
Why is the primordial water
Of course, the
rising?
Hydro Archon never received permission from the heavenly principles to create a new human race. And thus, the Hydro Archon and all of her creations came to shoulder the original sin of appropriating the power of the primordial sea.
Maybe that's why.
That
Celestia.
is the true history of how the people of Fontaine first came into being.
That must be it. Celestia is doing it. Celestia's trying to put the people back where they're supposed to be.
Before we turned into human beings?
That's way too much information for me. I think I'm just going to pretend that I never heard a single thing.
That sounds
That's
right.
the truth. We can't let the Hydro Archon be sentenced to death. After all, her only sin was creating us.
This really might be too much information for your regular Fontainian, but it
They just got 9 to 5 jobs. They don't know what the hell's going
Alas,
on.
your hypothesis regarding the 3rd and 4th stone slates was inaccurate. The slates' respective positions are, in fact, correct.
So they are in the right order. What is the third slate supposed to represent then?
A key point of the visual on the third slate is how all the individuals depicted in the water are humans rather than Oceanids.
Oh?
They have not been dissolved, which implies that the water depicted in this slate is not water from the primordial sea. The nation of Fontaine is the nation of Hydro, as well as the nation of Trials and Justice. Instead of being the literal element, the water in the scene symbolizes judgment and justice.
Oh, that's the current
experience. When she fell into
situation,
the sea,
maybe.
her consciousness was surrounded by that of many others who intended to hold a trial to determine her fate. Therefore, the meaning of the third slate is that the people of Fontaine shall try the Hydro Archon at the court of justice.
And here we are. Can't be.
Yes, it refers to our present situation.
I think I'm following now. So, what you're saying is, even though we decided to put on this trial to avoid fulfilling the prophecy,
You fulfilled it anyway.
everything we've done has happened exactly as the prophecy foretold. So now, it seems, we're the ones making sure it comes true.
I always had a feeling it had something to do with justice, something with the people just surrounding her in kind of like this weakened state. I don't know. Feels like there's no way out of this.
Huh. No matter what, the prophecy will be fulfilled. Is this what it feels like to be a prisoner of fate?
If that's the case, does that mean the scene in the fourth slate will also be fulfilled soon?
Traveler, I would like to point out another small fallacy in your deductions.
Okay.
About the fourth slate. You probably thought that the eruption of primordial seawater beneath the fortress of Meropide served as the surest sign that the prophecy was about to come to pass, yes? However, I believe that rather than being a sure sign, that eruption could in fact only be a small warning of something far worse to come. As for the root cause of the catastrophe, I believe you've already encountered it once before.
The root cause of the catastrophe. I have? Wait. Could it be the one missing piece that nobody ever talks about? We never talk about it. No one ever speaks about it, but it's right here. All the time. I'm thinking about it all the time, and I'm wondering when they're gonna freaking address it.
This eruption was just a small warning of the things to come. We must find the root cause of the disaster.
Just what is the true source of the catastrophe? Child's conviction. Though Nouvelette believed Child to be innocent, the Oratrice judged him as guilty in the end. And even Furina didn't know why.
That doesn't sound quite right.
It sounded right to me, okay? It sounded right to me. It's the... Where's Child? Where is he, okay? Where the hell is he? That's all I'm saying. No, wait, no. Okay. I was right, okay? It's here. I clicked the wrong one. The whale in the dream. You saw Child floating in the sea in a dream, as well as an indescribably massive whale.
It was both dream and reality.
If we're talking about a true culprit, that could only be that thing inside the primordial sea, right?
The truth, the original sin, the trial, and the root cause of the disaster.
God, that's fucking terrifying. I have like an undescribable the reason why I'm so scared of this is because of this. I keep seeing this thing, and I have an undescribable fear of this thing. What is going on? Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. What the fuck? What the fuck? Why is it here? Why is it here? Oh my god. There he is. There he is, baby. Yes. He's back. He's back. My boy is back. Holy shit. He's back. He's back. He was missing and he's back. Oh my god. He's not back. What the f—
That was way too close! How did that thing just burst into the opera house? Wait,
Wild timing.
that the huge whale you saw in your
Wild timing. That's right. I'd wager that it's also the one that child saw when he was young.
So we've met it at last. I understand very well why it has chosen to make an appearance here.
Why did
That
it—
whale does not belong to Tevat. It is a monster that has traversed the stars, weeping all the while.
It's not even—
It has been greedily
Oh my
consuming
God.
the energy from the planet's primordial sea, using it to grow. That is the main cause for the rising sea levels.
I found a note somewhere. Off camera, I have been adventuring and wandering. I found a note that talks about something being humongous and not— they didn't know what it was exactly, and they kept eating and consuming, and I've always been trying to figure out what the hell they were talking. I have been traveling all of Fontaine and doing so much research on my own because I'm this investigationist. I love investigating and trying to figure things out. I could not find anything about it. I could not find anything, and this is like the closest thing I found to that. I wonder if it's the same thing. Anyway, this is wild. This is absolutely wild.
And once it has finished consuming all of the energy contained within the sea, its next step will be—
You said that when the Hydro Archon first created Fontainians out of Oceanids, she filled their blood vessels with primordial seawater.
Precisely. That whale finds the blood of Fontainians nigh impossible to resist.
It's been eating people this whole time?
Therefore, when it left the primordial sea, it decided to make its next stop a packed opera house full of food. Food in the form of Fontainians.
So this is one of the Descenders.
Barely managed to push it back.
This thing is one of the Descenders.
In that case, won't it come back to target the people again once it's managed to recover its strength?
Something else. So in Tevat, there's I think 4 Descenders, people who were never part of Tevat. My character is one of them. The Heavenly Principles is another one, and there are 2 more. I'm assuming this is another one. I don't know what number it is, but it's definitely one of them because it's not from Tevat. It's not from here, right? It came from elsewhere, and it's just freaking hungry and it's eating. That's freaking terrifying.
That is correct. Indeed, it is more accurate to say that we should thank that Harbinger for buying us some time. Without him, the whale would have likely come onto land far sooner. From the way he looked, he must have been fighting the creature for quite a long time.
He's just been out there fighting. Oh my god.
We've always known that he had a special connection with that whale, but we definitely didn't expect it to help us out like this. Anyway, now that we know
He's probably having the time of his life right now.
of the disaster recorded in the prophecy, all we need to do to stop the prophecy would be to find a way to beat it up, right?
Beat it up.
It is too late.
What? What do you mean?
It had already absorbed too much of the primordial sea's energy before we could notice it. At this point, it has become practically integrated with the sea itself.
What does that even mean?
Even if the entirety of Tevat were to be destroyed, it could still survive and swim off towards some other world.
Oh my god.
That's not something I will accept.
Hell no.
We've already done everything we can, and we even found the true culprit. We've come so far. You can't just tell me that the last hurdle is some impossible foe. That's just not fair.
Indeed, that's not how a grand performance should end.
I'll fight it to the end.
Always.
No matter what.
No matter what. No matter
So
what.
the prophecy will be fulfilled no matter what, huh?
The prophecy. Yes, what has been prophesied will be fulfilled.
However,
You may view such things as the history of the future.
however, things can be changed. After everything, it still turned out like this. We couldn't fight against fate. No. Nah, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. Wait, but if this is all about fate...
Just as prophecies are usually only the future as seen from the perspectives of the gods, could things be happening in hidden corners where the god's gaze does not fall?
God's gaze. The abyss. The abyss.
Ultimately, fate shall serve as your only guide, no matter what will happen in Tevat's future. All you need to do is to play your part.
Could it be that even the prophecy will be fulfilled? There will still be a way to save everyone? Did I miss something? Wait, I forgot about Furina. What was that you wanted to say to me that last moment in the giant magic box? What is her real secret? It's the Oratrice mechanic Denali's cut it now. What the hell is going on?
What's happening with the Oratrice?
Oh my god.
I believe it is preparing to carry out the death sentence.
No. No, 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 no.
Furina!
No way. No, 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 no.
No, I still need answers.
Don't you dare. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then stay tuned for more on the next episode. The end is coming. Until next time, and as always, just call Master Corvidien. Have a good one, guys.